and welcome to Girl Boss Daily Notices, the only place to get your daily notices. Today we have a very interesting story about money and investing. I'm going to hand it over to our on-site reporter, Anneka. Imagine you randomly inherit $46.2 billion from a complete stranger. This is exactly what happens in The Inheritance Games, a novel by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. While this might seem too good to be true, this happens day to day with Lotto. What do you do with all this money? I'm going to look at that today, but instead of Avery, we're looking at this from Noah's perspective, my brother. And instead of $46.2 billion, we're going to look at this with $250,000. How old are you?
I'm 16-year-old.
What is your current situation like?
I live in my parents' house.
What do you do as like a career?
Mow lawns every fortnight and I get $25 for that. And then sometimes I can do other jobs as well. I think at like $50 to $100.
Any learning situations?
In year 11.
Do you currently owe anyone money?
I owe someone $20.
And what are your future aspirations?
Probably be an ecologist, study in university.
Which university would you...
Either Lincoln or Christchurch. Live in the South Island and then buy either just a small townhouse or a house in the country.
Now that we know a bit about Noah, we can assume his short-term goal in the next 12 months he would like to buy a car. 3 years he would like to go to university. In the next 5+ years he would like to buy a house, preferably in the South Island. Now, my mentor, Tiana Roof, said the best person to go to, unsure about something, is to an expert. So let's go meet our girl boss expert now. He can do 3 things with his money. He can put it in his bank account, he can put it in a long-term investment bank account, or he can put it into investments. But what is investing? Investing, just as it says here, is the act of purchasing assets in the hopes that they increase in value over time. This is a really good way to make money because unlike the other two, it has rapid fire success and more likely, depending on the risk rate thing that you're investing, to give you money that will allow Noah to successfully buy a home in his long-term plan. What should we do with Noah's money? When Noah took the Sorted Investment Planner test, he came up as a growth investor. This means he's willing to ride out bumps along the way in order to retain more money than he put in. So I have given Noah $10,000 to use now for a car. I then propose to give $100,000 into a high investment rate savings account for university costs. It's either between accommodation and tuition fees alone, the cost of uni adds up to $45,876 to $76,003, where Noah wants to go whilst doing ecology at current costs. This is only likely to rise with inflation. This then leaves me with $140,000 to invest. Because of the growth investor profile Noah was sorted with, I propose to invest 75% into shares and 25% into bonds. These all have high credit ratings between BB and A, as well as all have fairly good interest rates. So I propose $15,000 go into the New Zealand Local Government Funding Agency. This is a government fund and in theory is more safe. The next two, I propose $7,500 into bonds, because even though these are less safe, these are each green bonds, meaning they are put towards an environmentally conscious pathway, something I feel my client as an inspiring ecologist will appreciate. I put the rest, $5,000, into the Auckland Council bond. Again, this feels safe as it is close to a government corporation as you can get. Now this is part of my 90% of my share. This I feel will be safest because the ETFs are not just one corporation. They're made up of a mix of corporations that the funds go into. meaning that if one of the corporations fails, the shares won't fail. These are all companies. I feel these areas can lead to higher rates of return. With my index investments, my 90%, I propose $10,000 to be invested to Consumer Staples Vanguard ETF and VanEck Vectors Agribusiness ETF. This is with a $5,000 initial investment with an added $100 per month for the next roughly 4 years. And that there's drawbacks to them. Because of this, there may be drawbacks in putting money into these ETFs. But I still feel like these are good ETFs to put into because they are growing. Then I propose $14,500 to put into the ETF MG Video Game Tech ETF. Now this is a $10,000 initial investment with an added $100 per month for the next roughly 4 years. I feel this is a better sector to invest in because as technology develops, video games also develop. They are increasingly becoming popular. Lastly, I propose $25,000 to be invested in BlackRock Science and Technology Trust and Invesco MSCI Sustainable Future ETF. This is a $20,000 investment split over 12 months, and then after this 12 months, an added $100 per month for the next 4 years. I believe these are the best two ETFs to put into because science and technology is developing crazily, and I feel it will only further develop more, and because of this, trusts like this are more likely to rise in their worth. The same still for sustainable futures because climate change over the past few years has become a really big thing and more people are aware of it. I feel putting money into this ETF will be worthwhile to my client and will be very good for their investments. However, because there are still risks with doing shares, I feel that $10,000 will be left over for review in 5 years of the market. These over time payments as well also offer opportunities for if and stop the payments from happening just in case something does go wrong with one of these ETFs. This is my companies that are taking up the 10% of the investments for NOAA. I propose $5,250 be invested in Mattel. I have a feeling that Mattel shares will skyrocket. This is because of the Barbie movie that is coming out, which is going to be more awareness of Barbie and Mattel products as well. Be buying and to increase the profits of the shares. Lastly, I propose $1,625 into their company and forward. This is because they are reliable companies, because they are companies that products use a lot of fossil fuels. They may soon be not so good, but I feel that putting money into these types of companies will be good in the long term because of the change that is going to happen in a few years with climate change and how companies like this, in order to survive, will have to adapt to create electric tractors or electric cars